Across the other side of the city, in one of the slums of Paris, was a woman who would greatly influence Frederic. Sister Rosalie Rondeau was a daughter of charity. The daughters were an order of sisters founded by the famous French saint Vincent de Paul 200 years earlier. Rosalie was the Mother Teresa of 19th century Paris. For 50 years she worked with and for the poorest of the poor. Against her wishes, she was later decorated with the highest award in France, the Cross of the Legion of Honor. Joseph Bailly knew Rosalie. Bailly wrote to her in early 1833, "I am sending you two young men. Their charity is spirited, but they are young and impetuous. They need direction." The two young men were Frederic and his friend Auguste Le Taillandier. Auguste had grown tired of what he called the sterile words of the debating group. He wanted to help the poor directly. So did Frederic. And at the grand age of 20, he and Auguste and 5 others formed the first Conference of Charity, later known in France and around the world as the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Rosalie gave Frederic and Auguste the names of 3 families. She suggested their group adopt each family and offer what assistance they could. Her advice was simple: be kind and love, for love is the first gift to the poor. They will appreciate your kindness and your love more than all else you can bring them. Up till then, Frederic and Auguste's only experience with the poor was to leave firewood with the first cold man they could find. Frederic later recalled how nervous they were climbing the stairs to the man's garret. They dropped the wood and left as fast as they could. It seemed now to Frederic that Sister Rosalie had much to teach them. The members of this first conference were 23 years of age or younger. Bailly was the exception. At 40, he was the father figure. With his business skills and maturity, he was promptly voted president. The group knew they had a lot of growing to do, emotionally and spiritually. Each week they would meet, pray, discuss their work, and, arguments aside, encourage one another. Support would often come from the poor themselves. As Sister Rosalie had told them, when you meet the poor, you meet Christ. As the poor became part of their lives, so too did prayer. For Frederic, the gospel that challenged him to treat others as he would like to be treated was now taking on a whole new meaning. From that period onwards, Frederic would read something from the Gospels each day. He called it his daily bread. The challenge then, he said, was to put it into action. The growth in the number of conferences was staggering. By the time the last of these original members died in the final decade of the century, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul numbered more than 7,000 conferences in over 30 countries. In whatever measure they could, this small group had given their century liberty, equality, fraternity. Frederic had a lot on his mind. On the one hand, he wanted the conferences of charity to help those in need directly. On the other, he wanted the work of the society to alert the wider public, especially the middle classes, to the needs of the poor. Maybe then, he thought, the people of France could begin to eliminate the causes of poverty. He was strongly supported by the Archbishop of Paris, Denis Affre. In turn, many young priests became enthusiastic about Frederic's ideas, and his ideas were plentiful. In 1838, Frederic, now 25, and the youngest lecturer at the University of Lyon, denounced the new economic liberalism. He condemned an economy where the working poor created wealth the poor themselves would never enjoy. He said charity was not enough to solve these problems. There must be justice between employers and workers. He called for a regulated labor market with state controls and organized workers. For France and for the times, these were radical ideas.